Have you ever wondered why, even when we've achieved what we wanted so much, we still feel empty? It always seems as if something is missing, as if peace and happiness are a next goal, something that never arrives. The truth is that many of the answers we seek on the outside, in material conquests and relationships, are much closer than we think, within ourselves. The kingdom of heaven is not an external place that we find when we achieve some success or merit. It is a state of consciousness that reveals itself when we reconnect with our deepest essence. This essence, or secret place as some traditions call it, is a space of inner peace and presence that doesn't depend on external circumstances. By saying the kingdom of God is within you, Jesus reminds us that we don't have to wait for something to happen in order to experience fullness. This state is always available. All we have to do is silence the mental chaos and open up to the present moment. However, it takes patience to become familiar with this inner space. The mind likes to rush into the future or get stuck in the past, so we forget that the key is always in the present. Meditation, or simply sitting in silence for a few minutes, is a powerful way to start accessing this awareness. Many people have the impression that meditation is complicated, or that they need to empty their mind, but this is not the case. It's more about observing than controlling, just noticing the thoughts and letting them pass, without resisting them. It seems difficult at first, because we're used to reacting to everything, but over time the mind calms down. And in that silence, we begin to feel a peace that doesn't depend on what's happening around us. Finding the kingdom of heaven within you is like returning home after a long journey. It is in this state that we stop looking for external validation and begin to feel complete and at peace, even when life isn't perfect. Interestingly, when we achieve this inner serenity, the things we want in the outside world seem to rearrange themselves. Projects flow, the right people appear, and doors open, without us having to push. This happens because when we access this inner space, our vibration changes. We become a reflection of the harmony and peace we seek, and the external world responds in the same way. And here's the most interesting part. Even in difficult times, when everything seems to be spiraling out of control, this peace is still present. It doesn't disappear. We just need to turn our attention to it and trust that, just as the sea has waves and tides, life also moves, but the deep ocean remains serene. And when we tune into this inner serenity, what happens on the outside loses its weight, because we no longer need absolute control. Now, of course, a question arises. If the kingdom of heaven is already within us, why do we so often get caught up in worries and anxieties? Perhaps it's because we still try to carry the weight of control on our shoulders, believing that everything depends solely on our efforts? From an early age, we are taught that if we want to achieve something in life, we have to chase after it and control every step. We are led to believe that security comes from planning everything thoroughly, anticipating risks, and never letting go of the reins. However, the more we try to control every aspect of our reality, the more we feel anxious, frustrated, and worn out. The truth is that life doesn't work like an exact equation. There is a greater intelligence, an invisible force that acts behind the scenes and always knows the shortest path, the path of flow. Giving up control doesn't mean giving up or failing to act. It actually means trusting that there is a divine order beyond our comprehension. Imagine you're in a river, clinging to a rock for fear of being swept away by the current. The harder you try, the more fatigue and pain you feel. What if you let go of the stone and let the current take you? You may find that the river knows exactly where it's going and, surprisingly, takes you to a better place than you could have imagined. Giving up control is like that. It's about trusting the flow of life and no longer fighting what you can't change. When we surrender our worries and expectations to this greater intelligence, we make room for unexpected and wonderful things to happen. The problem is that we often want life to follow the script we've written. We want all our desires to come true in our own way and in our own time. However, absolute control is an illusion, and insisting on it only generates resistance and blocks the natural flow of blessings. The more we try to force control, the more abundance moves away. On the other hand, surrender creates space for the unexpected to surprise us. This doesn't mean, however, that we should be passive and wait for everything to fall from the sky. Conscious surrender is a dance between action and trust. We do our part. We work. We take care of ourselves. We are open to opportunities, but we are not attached to the outcome. We let life complete the picture. This is the secret of abundance, acting with intention, but without the anxiety of needing to control the end result. Curiously, when we stop trying to control everything, things start to align. What once seemed distant or out of reach begins to come closer without us making any effort. Surrender can be difficult at first, because the ego likes to convince us that we need to be in charge. It fears the unknown and will do anything to maintain control. However, every time we surrender, a little more peace sets in. Anxiety decreases and confidence increases. Life stops being a constant struggle and becomes a smooth flow of experiences and perfectly timed opportunities. And when we allow ourselves to follow this flow, we realize that abundance doesn't need to be chased. It was already available all along, just waiting for us to relax in order to manifest. The curious thing is that when we stop worrying so much and let go of the need to control everything, the universe finally has room to act. The answers and solutions we were looking for begin to appear, sometimes in ways we never imagined. Thus, the scarcity that used to plague us turns into possibilities. However, it takes courage to trust in this process, to let go of our expectations and open ourselves up to the new, even without knowing for sure what lies ahead. Having faith is not simply believing that everything will work out in the future, but feeling, here and now, that you are already being sustained by a greater force, even if the current reality does not yet reflect what you want. It's easy to trust when everything is flowing, but true faith is tested in storms, when there are no visible guarantees that what you expect will happen. This is where many people get lost. When circumstances don't look favorable, fear arises. And fear creates resistance, closing the doors to the abundance that life wants to bring. Faith works like a catalyst. It's like a flame that turns the raw material into pure gold, transforming the perception of scarcity into prosperity. It not only attracts what you need, but also transforms you from the inside, so that you become the kind of person who naturally lives in harmony with the flow of abundance. The secret is that, before anything changes externally, you need to change internally. External reality is a mirror of what we are vibrating internally. That's why it's essential to cultivate a mind and heart attuned to trust. The biggest challenge is that, even in the face of difficulties, the mind insists on creating negative scenarios. What if it doesn't work out? What if I lose everything? These thoughts of fear are like quicksand. The more we fight them, the deeper we sink. The alchemy of faith invites us to look at these fears, but without feeding them. Instead, we consciously choose to trust that, even without understanding the whole path, we are being guided towards something bigger and better. This is not naivety, but an act of courage and spiritual wisdom. A powerful example is the moment we plant a seed. We know that for a while we won't see anything happen on the surface. However, that doesn't make us doubt that growth is taking place underground. In the same way, faith is the ability to trust in the invisible, to believe that, even without seeing what is happening at the moment, something is moving in our favor behind the scenes. And it is this trust that allows the universe to distribute its blessings at the right time and in the right way. Living with faith doesn't mean never having doubts or facing difficult times. That's part of the human experience. The point is that, even in those moments, we learn to pick ourselves up and keep believing. Little by little, faith becomes your new internal frequency, and you stop vibrating with scarcity, even when external circumstances don't change. In this state, the feeling of gratitude precedes the blessings, and this is exactly what accelerates the manifestation. When you already feel prosperous, even if you don't have everything you'd like, prosperity comes naturally. Everything in the universe vibrates at a specific frequency, which encompasses our thoughts and emotions, as well as the circumstances and experiences we live through. Just as a radio needs to be tuned to the right station to hear the desired music, we too need to vibrate at the frequency of what we want to attract. If we are seeking peace, abundance, and joy, it makes sense to cultivate these qualities internally first. It's a process of alignment. What we carry within us is what we end up projecting into the world, and the world reflects it back. But how exactly do you align yourself with this high frequency? First, we need to observe what we are emitting energetically. When we are constantly worried, resentful, or insecure, our vibration becomes heavy and dense, and we attract situations that correspond to this energy. However, when we cultivate high emotions, such as gratitude, love, and trust, our frequency increases. This doesn't mean denying difficult emotions, but learning not to get caught up in them. Accepting them, processing them, and moving on is the way to keep the energy field light and fluid. One of the greatest allies for this upliftment is the practice of genuine gratitude. By focusing on the blessings we already have, even if they seem small, we begin to change our vibration. Gratitude is a powerful magnet. The more we are grateful, the more reasons we find to continue being grateful. And this state attracts more experiences that match this positive energy. Although it's a simple change, it's profoundly transformative. Instead of focusing on what is missing, we learn to value what is present, and it is precisely this shift in focus that opens the door to new blessings. Another important aspect of alignment is self-care and taking time to calm the mind. Our thoughts are like little seeds, and every thought filled with fear or doubt affects our vibration. That's why it's essential to dedicate daily moments to inner silence, whether through meditation, a walk in nature, or a few minutes of conscious breathing. When we cultivate inner peace, we begin to emit an energy that attracts harmonious situations. The outside world organizes itself according to your vibration, and this is one of the great spiritual truths that govern our reality. Furthermore, alignment with the kingdom of heaven involves acting from a state of presence and clear intention. When our actions come from a place of inner peace, they are more efficient and produce better results. You feel guided, as if you're being carried along by the tide, rather than fighting against the current. This doesn't mean that there won't be challenges, but these challenges will be received with a different lightness, because you will be vibrating in confidence. And this natural confidence attracts opportunities, people, and situations that are in tune with your new vibrational state. Over time, you realize that what you were looking for out there begins to come to you effortlessly. What seemed distant and complicated begins to come closer, almost as if it were magnetized to your life. At that moment, you stop chasing and start receiving, with an open and serene heart. It is in this fluidity and lightness of being that the next realization comes. Everything that really matters and that you need manifests itself at the right time and in the perfect way. The promise that everything will be added is not an invitation to passivity or a shortcut to a life without challenges. In fact, this phrase carries deep spiritual wisdom about how the universe works. When we seek the kingdom of heaven first, that is, when we prioritize inner peace, trust, and alignment with our essence, the things we need begin to manifest at the right time and in the right way. The everything that is added to us is not limited to material desires, but also includes the experiences and lessons necessary for our spiritual growth. It is important to understand that what is added to us will not always be what we expect. Often, what we receive may not look like what we imagined, but when we look back, we realize that it was exactly what we needed to evolve. A practical example is when we wish for more prosperity, but instead of immediate money, an unexpected opportunity arises that leads us to develop new skills or make new connections. Life knows what it's going to give us when the time is right, and trusting this process is essential for the journey. In addition, the addition manifests itself as a feeling of lightness and fluidity. Things no longer seem so forced. Doors open naturally, and what once seemed distant begins to approach effortlessly. When we are in tune with the kingdom of heaven, we don't have to run desperately after anything. The right opportunities find us because our energy is already ready to receive them. Often we realize that what once seemed necessary, such as external validation or certain achievements, is no longer so important because peace and satisfaction are already rooted within us. This doesn't mean, however, that life will always be easy or free of obstacles. On the contrary, challenges will continue to arise, but the way we react to them will change completely. What once seemed like a crisis becomes an opportunity to practice trust and strengthen our faith. Instead of despairing, we learn to see these moments as part of the process of evolution. The spiritual path does not eliminate problems, but transforms the way we face them, allowing us to grow with them. Finally, what is added is not just what we desire, but what puts us in tune with our highest mission. As we live in alignment with inner peace and truth, we discover that the answers we were looking for on the outside were already inside us all along. Interestingly, the more we connect with this state of inner wholeness, the more the universe reorganizes itself to provide everything that is essential for our journey. What was once a cause for concern dissolves, and a new way of living emerges, where the focus is not on what is missing, but on the certainty that everything will arrive exactly when and how it is needed. When we seek the kingdom of heaven first, when we align ourselves with inner peace and trust that everything is unfolding for our good, life is transformed. Answers appear, doors open, and what you were looking for before begins to arrive at the right time. There's no more struggle, just trust. It's a path of surrender, but also of power, because those who find inner peace no longer depend on the chaos of the world to be happy. Now I invite you to take this message further. If this reflection made sense to you, share it with someone who also needs to hear it. Leave a comment and tell us how this journey has unfolded in your life. Your experience could inspire others. And if you want to continue receiving content that helps you live in this higher attunement, subscribe to the channel and leave your like. That way, you help strengthen this chain of transformation and you'll continue to receive new messages when the time is right. Thank you for walking with me this far. Your journey is important. The world needs your light. And remember, when you seek what is eternal, the temporary simply falls into place. See you in the next video.